The First Home Savings Account, or FHSA, has been celebrated as the most powerful tool for first-time homebuyers in a generation. A beautiful hybrid of an RRSP and a TFSA, it offers a tax deduction on the way in and tax-free growth and withdrawal on the way out. It seems like a perfect, can't-lose vehicle to get you into your first home. And for the most part, it is. But there is a rule. A single, critical piece of fine print buried in the Income Tax Act that can turn this dream account into a financial trap. It's a rule that most new home buyers and even some financial advisors are overlooking. And it can cost you thousands of dollars in lost tax deductions permanently. Today, I'm going to tell you why you should not use the FHSA to buy your first home until you understand this one crucial rule. We're not just going to talk about theory. We're going to walk through what happens when this goes wrong and how to structure your savings to make sure it goes right. This isn't about avoiding the FHSA. It's about using it with the foresight of a seasoned professional, not the blind enthusiasm of a rookie. It's about preserving your capital, not giving it away unnecessarily to the CRA. This is about clarity above all else, because financial complexity is a choice, not a necessity. And today, I'm going to cut through the jargon and reveal the simple, powerful principle underneath. Let me tell you about Mark and Sarah, a young couple from Calgary. For 3 years, they had been diligently saving. They both opened FHSAs the moment they became available in April of 2023. They were the model savers. Each year, they contributed, watched their investments grow tax-free, and looked forward to the significant tax refund they would get from their contributions. By early 2026, they had a combined $50,000 in their accounts and had just found the perfect starter home, a modest 3-bedroom townhouse in the Northeast, close to the C-train. They had a deal, a signed purchase agreement, and they were ready to make their dream a reality. They went to their bank and filled out the paperwork, Form RC-725, to make their first qualifying withdrawal. The money came out, tax-free as promised, and went straight towards their down payment. They were ecstatic. A few weeks later, after the dust had settled and they were unpacking boxes in their new home, Mark remembered he had some extra cash from a recent bonus. Thinking he was being clever, he decided to top up his FHSA for the year. He still had some contribution room left, and he figured he might as well get the tax deduction for it. He deposited another $2,000 into his account. Sarah did the same. They thought they were getting a head start on their next financial goal, whatever that might be. Perhaps they were thinking about retirement or maybe a future investment property. They didn't know they had just made a permanent, irreversible mistake. The following spring, when they filed their taxes, they were shocked. The tax deduction they were expecting from that final $4,000 contribution was denied. Their refund was thousands of dollars less than they had calculated. Confused and frustrated, they called their accountant, who gave them the bad news. They had run afoul of the most important and least understood rule of the FHSA, a rule that is absolute and offers no recourse. The accountant explained that the CRA had flagged their return and that the contributions they made after their qualifying withdrawal were simply not eligible for a deduction. Not this year, not next year, not ever. So what happened? Mark and Sarah fell into a trap that is waiting for any Canadian who doesn't read the fine print. The aha moment, the core principle you need to internalize, is this. Any and all contributions made to your FHSA after your first qualifying withdrawal are not tax deductible. Not for that year, not for any year, ever. Let me repeat that because it is that important. The moment you take money out of your FHSA for a qualifying home purchase, the door for tax-deductible contributions slams shut permanently. It doesn't matter if you have contribution room left. It doesn't matter if you didn't know the rule. The rule is the rule, and the CRA enforces it without exception. Think of your FHSA as having 2 distinct phases. Phase 1 is the accumulation phase. This is the period from when you open the account until the moment you make that first qualifying withdrawal. During this phase, every dollar you contribute up to your limit generates a tax deduction. It's a powerful engine for wealth creation. You're building your down payment, and the government is rewarding you for it. But the moment you make that first withdrawal for your home, you enter phase 2, the post-withdrawal phase. And in this phase, the tax deductibility feature of the account is gone forever. Any money you put in after that point is, from a tax perspective, a wasted opportunity. You get no deduction. It's like putting money into a regular savings account, but with more rules and restrictions. The account still exists, but its most powerful feature has been permanently disabled. The Canada Revenue Agency is not ambiguous about this. Their language is clear. Contributions you made to your FHSAs after your first qualifying withdrawal cannot be claimed as a deduction on your income tax and benefit return for any year. This isn't a loophole or a gray area. It is a hard and fast rule. Mark and Sarah's $4,000 contribution was made after they had taken money out for their down payment. They had crossed the line. Their contribution was, in the eyes of the CRA, a non-deductible deposit. They had effectively thrown away a significant tax deduction. If they had been in a 30% marginal tax bracket, that $4,000 contribution should have generated a $1,200 refund. Instead, they got nothing. That's $1,200 of real money gone. And the trap is deeper than just losing a deduction. If you recontribute money you just withdrew, thinking you can cancel the withdrawal or put it back, you can't. Unlike the homebuyer's plan for RRSPs, which does allow you to cancel your participation under certain conditions, an FHSA qualifying withdrawal is a one-way street. It cannot be canceled. If you put that money back in, it's treated as a brand new contribution. And since it's happening after your first withdrawal, it's a non-deductible contribution. Worse, if you don't have any contribution room left, putting that money back in could push you into an over-contribution situation, triggering a penalty tax of 1% per month on the excess amount. You could be penalized for putting money back into an account from which you just took it. The irony is painful. This is why we must reframe our thinking. We are not just saving money, we are engaging in legacy architecture. We are building a financial structure, and the integrity of that structure depends on understanding the rules of engagement. The FHSA is a brilliant tool, but it demands precision. It's not a casual savings bucket. It's a specialized instrument. The government gives you this incredible benefit of a tax deduction, but it's a time-limited offer. It expires the moment you use the account for its intended purpose. This is pragmatism as a principle. We deal with the world and the Canadian tax system as they are, not as we wish they would be. So what is the strategic alternative? It's not to fear the FHSA, but to master it. The goal is to build a machine that generates your down payment with maximum efficiency. This means planning your contributions with the same care you plan your withdrawal. The strategy is simple. Maximize your FHSA contributions before you make your first withdrawal. Front-load the account as much as you can in the years leading up to your home purchase. Your FHSA should be the foundation of your down payment strategy, the first place your savings go. But it shouldn't be the only place. Once you have a clear line of sight to your home purchase and you know you'll be making a withdrawal soon, any additional savings should be directed elsewhere, likely to a TFSA. A TFSA doesn't offer a tax deduction on contributions, but it does offer tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals, and it has none of the complex timing rules of the FHSA. It's the flexible partner to the FHSA's powerful but rigid structure. This is the advice that financial professionals across Canada are now giving to their clients. Use the FHSA as your foundation, but layer in the TFSA for flexibility and additional capacity. Think of it this way. You have a window of opportunity. From the day you open your FHSA until the day you sign the withdrawal form, that window is open. You can throw as much tax-deductible money through it as your limits allow. But the moment you take money out to buy your home, that window closes. Your job is to get as much through it as possible before it shuts. Don't be like Mark and Sarah, standing outside the closed window, holding cash they can no longer put to its most effective use. The window doesn't reopen. There are no second chances. Let's talk about the mechanics of the FHSA for a moment, because understanding the structure is critical to using it properly. When you open an FHSA, you are given an annual contribution limit of $8,000 and a lifetime contribution limit of $40,000. If you contribute the full $8,000 every year, you will hit your lifetime limit in 5 years, but you don't have to contribute that much every year. You can contribute less, and any unused contribution room carries forward to the next year, up to a maximum of $8,000 in carry-forward room. This means the maximum you can contribute in any single year is $16,000, the current year's $8,000 plus the previous year's unused $8,000. The account itself has a maximum participation period of 15 years from the date you open it, or until you turn 71, whichever comes first. This gives you a long runway to save, but here's the critical point. Your maximum participation period ends at the end of the year, following the year of your first qualifying withdrawal. So, if you make a qualifying withdrawal in 2026, your participation period ends on December 31st, 2027. After that, you must close the account. You can transfer any remaining funds to an RRSP or RRIF on a tax-free basis, or you can withdraw them, but any non-qualifying withdrawal is taxable. This is where the rule we've been discussing becomes so important. Between the time you make your first qualifying withdrawal and the time you close the account, you might be tempted to keep contributing. After all, you still have the account open, and you might still have contribution room. But any contribution you make during this period is a non-deductible contribution. It generates no tax benefit. It's a dead-end move. The smart play is to stop contributing the moment you make your first withdrawal, and to close the account as soon as possible after that. This brings us to the practical, actionable steps you need to take. This is about moving from understanding to action. This is about responsible stewardship of your own capital. These are the steps that will ensure you use the FHSA to its full potential without falling into the trap that caught Mark and Sarah. First, you need to conduct a contribution timing audit. Look at your financial timeline. When do you realistically plan to buy a home? Now, look at your FHSA. Your entire contribution strategy must be built around making all of your planned contributions before that date. If you plan to buy a home in 2028, your goal should be to have your full $40,000 lifetime contribution limit in the account before you make that withdrawal. If you get a bonus a month before you plan to withdraw, great, put it in then. If you get it a month after, it goes into your TFSA, not your FHSA. Map it out. Know your deadline. Write it down. Put it on your calendar. Treat it as a hard deadline because it is. Second, you must master the withdrawal checklist before you even think of signing the form. A qualifying withdrawal has several conditions, and all of them must be met. You must be a first-time home buyer, which has a specific definition. For the purposes of making a qualifying withdrawal, you are considered a first-time home buyer if you did not live in a qualifying home as your principal place of residence that you owned or jointly owned at any time in the current calendar year before the withdrawal, except the 30 days immediately before the withdrawal, or the previous 4 calendar years. This is different from the definition of a first-time home buyer for the purposes of opening an FHSA, so pay attention. You must have a written agreement to buy or build a qualifying home with the acquisition or construction completion date of the qualifying home before October 1st of the year following the date of the withdrawal. You must not have acquired the qualifying home more than 30 days before making the withdrawal. You must be a resident of Canada from the time you make your first qualifying withdrawal until the earlier of the acquisition of the qualifying home or the date of your death. You must occupy or intend to occupy the qualifying home as your principal place of residence within 1 year after buying or building it. And you must fill out Form RC-725, request to make a qualifying withdrawal from your FHSA, and give it to your FHSA issuer. Review these conditions on the CRA website. Print them out. Treat it like a pilot's pre-flight checklist, because if you get it wrong, your entire withdrawal can be deemed taxable income for the year. The stakes are that high. The CRA is not forgiving when it comes to these rules. If you make a withdrawal that doesn't meet all the qualifying conditions, the entire withdrawal is treated as taxable income, and you must report it on your tax return. If the CRA has already assessed your return for that year, they will reassess it to include the taxable withdrawal in your income. You could end up with a significant tax bill, plus interest and penalties. Third, build your down payment machine. This is your structured savings plan. It has two main components. Component 1 is the FHSA. This is your high-power tax-deductible engine. You feed this engine with up to $8,000 a year or more if you have carry-forward room. This is where your first dollars go. Component 2 is the TFSA. This is your flexible, all-purpose booster. Any savings you have above and beyond your FHSA contribution limit go here. When you are a year or two away from buying and your FHSA is nearing its maximum, the TFSA becomes your primary savings vehicle. This two-pronged approach gives you the best of both worlds, the powerful tax deductions of the FHSA and the flexibility of the TFSA. Think of it as a relay race. The FHSA runs the first leg, building your down payment with maximum tax efficiency. The TFSA runs the second leg, adding additional capacity and flexibility as you approach the finish line. Together, they form a powerful, coordinated strategy. This is not about owning different things. It's about owning things that behave differently. The FHSA is rigid and powerful. The TFSA is flexible and versatile. Together, they complement each other perfectly. Fourth, run the what-if scenario. Ask yourself, what if my closing date moves up? What if I find a house sooner than I expected? If you suddenly need to make a withdrawal, have you already made your full contribution for the year? The key is to be prepared. The best way to avoid the trap Mark and Sarah fell into is to make your annual $8,000 contribution as a lump sum at the beginning of each year if you can. That way, no matter when you find your perfect home during the year, you've already secured your tax deduction. You've acted with foresight. You've built resilience into your plan. If you can't make a lump sum contribution at the beginning of the year, that's okay, but be aware of the risk. If you're contributing monthly and you find a house in June and you make a qualifying withdrawal in July, any contributions you were planning to make from August to December are now non-deductible. You've lost that opportunity. The solution is to accelerate your contributions as much as possible once you start seriously house hunting. Front-load the year. Get your money into the account while the window is still open. This isn't about gaming the system. This is about understanding that paying tax is part of funding your citizenship. But the government has created these specific registered plans with very clear rules to help you achieve your goals. They are inviting you to build your wealth in a structured, tax-efficient way. It is your responsibility to understand the blueprint they have provided. The FHSA is a gift, but it comes with an instruction manual. Ignoring it is not just careless, it's expensive. It's the difference between a tax refund of $200 and a tax refund of $0. It's the difference between preserving your capital and giving it away. Your financial future is not a matter of chance, it is a matter of choice. It is not a thing to be waited for, but a thing to be achieved. By understanding this critical rule, you are no longer just a saver. You are a strategic architect of your own wealth. You are moving from being a passive participant in the financial system to an active, informed investor who can use its tools with precision and purpose. You are taking control of your financial destiny, one decision at a time. The FHSA is one of the most powerful tools the Canadian government has ever created for first-time homebuyers. But like any powerful tool, it must be used correctly. A chainsaw can build a house, or it can cause serious injury. The difference is in the hands of the person using it. The same is true of the FHSA. In the hands of an informed, strategic saver, it is a wealth-building machine. In the hands of someone who doesn't understand the rules, it can be a source of frustration and lost opportunity. Don't be Mark and Sarah. Don't learn this lesson the hard way. Learn it now while you still have time to act. If you have an FHSA and you're planning to buy a home soon, review your contribution strategy today. Make sure you're maximizing your contributions before you make your first withdrawal. And once you make that withdrawal, stop contributing. Close the account. Move on to the next phase of your financial life. The FHSA has served its purpose. Let it go. And if you don't have an FHSA yet, but you're planning to buy a home in the next few years, open one now. The sooner you open it, the sooner you start accumulating contribution room. And the sooner you start contributing, the sooner your money starts growing tax-free. Time is your most valuable asset in this equation. Don't waste it. Next week, we're going to discuss the single biggest mistake people make with their TFSAs. A mistake that has nothing to do with over-contributing, but can lead to significant tax consequences down the road. You don't want to miss it.